Metal Yearbook, 1988. A history lesson in leather, licks, and ludicrous hair heights.
In high school in the 80s, you had to get...
You know those years in music where everything feels like it's boiling over? Where the underground is throwing elbows at the mainstream? The radio is reluctantly giving airtime to songs about Satan and social collapse?
My husband, he says it's because they're satanic goats.
Did you hear that? He said he loves Satan.
And your high school biology teacher? He's quietly humming Pour Some Sugar on Me while grading papers.
The year was 1988.
Yep. That's 1988.
The year was 1988.
We're talking about a year where the Cold War was still breathing down everyone's neck.
The new Cold War.
And metal was happy to provide the soundtrack to nuclear paranoia.
What would you do if you found out nuclear war was starting in an hour? This is the agonizing question confronting the protagonist of the 1988 apocalyptic romance, Miracle Mile.
CDs were taken over.
When CDs were introduced in 1983, they cost about $30, while records cost $7 or $8. Today, records are $10 or $11, while CDs have come down to $17 or $18, and that's helped CD sales.
Meaning the album cover art suddenly looked way smaller, but the guitar solos, still huge. MTV's Headbangers Ball was in full swing.
My parents were headbangers.
Every Saturday night, church service. Except the priest wore spandex and yelled into a wind machine.
Leather, teased hair, spandex.
Metal in 1988 wasn't a genre. This was an ecosystem. A jungle where thrash was getting sharper teeth. Glam was peacocking at full bloom. Death metal was lurking in the shadows, sharpening a machete. And the average hairspray budget per band could fund a small country's educational program. Part 1. Thrash metal's relentless march. So if 1986 was the year thrash broke down the door with a chainsaw, 1988 was the year it redecorated the living room with skulls and complicated time signatures. You had Metallica, Injustice for All, August 25th. Imagine taking a political science textbook, setting it to music, and then deciding that the bass player's contribution should be buried so far in the mix that only dolphins can hear it.
There's a fresh theory about why Jason Newsted's bass was so quiet on And Justice for All. Producer Flemming Rasmussen speculates that Metallica muted the bass to get a reaction from Newsted. Newsted was always agreeable and didn't assert his place in the band. Despite the harsh treatment, Newsted remained with Metallica until 2001. Could this be the reason behind the infamous mix?
That's Justice. It was cerebral. It was punishing. and it was the sound of a band stretching thrash into prog territory without losing its snare. Then you had Megadeth. So far, so good. So what? Dave Mustaine's crew comes in with an album that feels like a smirk and a gut punch at the same time. It's angry, messy in spots, but it does have In My Darkest Hour, which alone makes this essential. Anthrax, State of Euphoria. Half mosh pit chaos, half comic book fun. Antisocial becomes an anthem for anyone who's ever been told, turn that noise down. And then there's Slayer, still riding the scorched earth tour of Rain and Blood. Reminding everyone that tempo markings are just polite suggestions. There is a cultural vibe. Thrash was everywhere, on MTV, in the record shops, and on the back of every denim vest in your high school. You'd see that Metallica logo scribbled in notebook margins more than actual homework notes. Part 2. Glam and hard rock, still on top. So if thrash was the leather jacket rebel smoking out back, Glam was the kid in the front of the class wearing eyeliner, throwing glitter, and still somehow dating the prom queen.
We'll get the prom queen impregnated.
You had Def Leppard, Hysteria. Still ruling from 1987. It was slick, shiny, so packed with hooks you could hang a tour bus on them. You had Bon Jovi. Still cashing slippery when wet checks and plotting world domination with cowboy hats. You got Poison, Open Up and Say Ah, May 3rd. This gave us Every Rose Has Its Thorn. The power ballad that convinced countless guys to grow their hair out for the chicks.
We both lie silently still in the dead of the night.
Spoiler, it did not work for everyone. But you had bands like Winger, Warrant, and Skid Row were all lining up at the gates, hairspray cans in hand. There was an MTV factor. Hair metal videos were basically short films now. Half soap opera, half perfume ad. All cheese. 1 minute you're watching a leather-clad heartthrob in the rain, and the next he's ripping a solo on top of a convertible. The pop culture tie-in was walk into any mall in '88, and you'd see the merch explosion.
I've been all over town. Where's your Megadeth?
Well, Sade's on sale.
Slayer? Testament? Metallica?
Rod Stewart has a new album.
T-shirts? Do you have any metal shirts?
Hey, you're in the wrong place. Heavy Metal Unlimited has everything you want, and we know what you're talking about. We've got hundreds of import, independent, and domestic titles to choose from. Heavy Metal also has thousands of licensed concert tees in addition
Poison
to
shirts hanging next to acid wash jeans. Kiss posters for sale next to inflatable furniture. Part 3. The underground emerges. While Glam was busy with their aerosol wars, the underground was mutating into darker corners. Death, leprosy. Chuck Schuldiner and crew delivered riffs that sound like they've been dredged from a swamp full of zombies and music degrees. Voivod, Dimension Hatris.
Turn around.
Canadian sci-fi thrash that was so weird you weren't sure if you were headbanging or boarding a spaceship. King Diamond them. Horror concept album perfection. Yes, perfection. Like listening to a haunted mansion if the mansion could shred. But then there's Celtic Frost. Or Celtic Frost.
You say whatever you want.
You decide. Make a decision. Cold Lake. A glam-influenced curveball that confused fans and critics alike. Proof that not every experiment becomes a classic. So how did you find these bands? If you didn't see them on MTV, you found them through photocopied magazines, bootleg cassette trades, or that one kid in high school who wore the Slayer shirt 3 days a week and had mysterious European relatives. Part 4. Pop culture meets metal. Metal was no longer confined to your bedroom stereo. It had slowly crept into the cultural bloodstream. Headbangers Ball was a ritual. Saturday nights meant staying up way too late, hoping your favorite band's video didn't get cut off by a commercial for acne cream.
It prevents acne.
The Decline of Western Civilization, Part 2, The Metal Years, hit theaters.
I didn't want to get a regular job. I couldn't conform to any system. I didn't want to get a job I had several jobs in factories and different jobs.
A glam-era documentary so outrageous it made your parents call it the devil's music.
The devil's music?
It made you want to join a band immediately. Metal jokes started popping up in sitcoms, usually horribly inaccurate. Look, the scary rocker guy can't read.
Here are 5 things we've learned about metalheads through scientific studies. Firstly, metal listeners are no more likely to be aggressive or violent than fans of other genres. Contrary to past stereotypes, research suggests that metal music can even be a healthy way to process anger and other negative emotions. We've also learned that it can have mood-boosting benefits, with studies showing that it can significantly reduce stress and increase positive emotions. Studies also show that metal fans tend to be more open-minded and score higher in the personality trait openness to experience, indicating curiosity and a preference for novelty. We've also learned that metal music with complex rhythms and tempos may offer cognitive benefits, potentially improving attention and working memory. And believe it or not, even headbanging may have positive neurological effects that enhance alertness and information processing.
But hey, at least they noticed we existed. And then the crossovers were brewing. Anthrax and Public Enemy were already flirting with Bring the Noise.
Bass, how low can you go? Death row? What a brother, no, once again, back is the incredible.
Showing that riff and rhythm could definitely party together. Part 5. The Legacy of '88. 1988 was a crossroad year. Thrash was growing more complex. Seeds of prog metal planted in Justice would sprout in bands like Dream Theater just a year later. Glam was riding so high that the fall, thanks grunge, was inevitable. But in '88, no one saw the cliff yet. Death metal's foundation was laid. Within a couple years, the Florida scene would absolutely explode. Underground weirdness like Voivod proved metal could be as experimental as any avant-garde jazz club. 1988 was the year metal starts showing its full evolutionary chart, from neon tigers to swamp creatures, all roaring at the same time. You could feel the change in the air, even if your hair was blocking your ears. So for the newbies, 1988 is your blueprint for how metal grew up without losing its teeth. But for the old school, it's the mixtape for every sound you blasted too loud to your parents. Every riff that made you air guitar in the kitchen. Every chorus you still know by heart. So do me a favor, like, subscribe, share this episode with someone who still has a Headbangers Ball VHS hidden in the attic. And remember, every riff tells a story. I'll see you guys next week. when we explore 1989. This has been Headbangers History with your host, Fred Carroll. Produced by Left Eye Lazy Media in Brantford, Connecticut. Every riff tells a story.